5 things I wish I knew before 3D printing aggressively. Number 1. Limit the use of filaments like PETG and TPU as a beginner. Although PETG is fairly easy to print with and gives you better durability than PLA, it can be really troublesome for your build plate. A slight miscalibration on your bed level could cause it to stick deep inside the build plate, or if it is loose, it will not have a proper adhesion. Similarly, printing TPU is fun as it gives you the option to print flexible and durable rubber-like material at the cost of printing speed. TPU also requires better ventilation system as it produces harmful gases when heated for an extended period. Number 2. Avoid using glue on build plate. This is probably a counterintuitive suggestion, as many senior practitioners suggest using glue on the build plate for better adhesion of the first layers, especially for smaller parts or models with narrow first layers. This is again a subjective matter, as glue sticks or gums may vary, and depending on the person's experience, they may find it better. From what I have learned, a good bed leveling usually removes the need for using external adjustments and prints perfectly fine with most models. However, for smaller models, you could try using Bream's option in your slicer settings. I mostly use a Cura and Creality slicer, but similar or better options should exist across other slicers like Prusa. Use of glue seems to wear the actual build plate friction over time, as it requires cleanup after multiple use, thus leaving undesired bottom layers at times. Number 3. What to do when your filament sensor is flickering or not responsive. I am pretty sure that everyone will face this problem at some point in their printing endeavor, where in your monitor will give you a notice for filament exhaustion or no filament inserted notification midway during print, even if you have enough filament. The problem seems to occur due to the sensor not reading the filament passage through it. You could look online for your particular solution on this, however I had to find this the hard way by trying some manual removal of screws and cracking open the sensor holder and doing what the guide videos asked me to. Firstly, their sensor boards were built differently, so I did not try to tinker with it. I closed the box and screwed it back to its original position. However, in doing so, I accidentally loosened the screw on the sensor holder, which took quite a while to fix. In my case, the problem was pretty simple. It had arisen because I had left my PETG filament on the printer for about 3 days. Due to moisture and humidity, it seemed to have become thinner, and thus it was not being fed through the sensor as it should be. Changing to another filament I had stored away solved the issue for me. Number 4. Loose knobs under the build plate. This may not be a problem for everyone, but in my case, I have always had an issue with my Ender 3S1 since I received it from Amazon. The problem was that one of the 4 screws was incredibly loose, and it was a nightmare for me to level the bed. Initially, I curbed this problem by keeping a high Z offset of about 3.90, but even so the screw kept falling off midway through the print, and although it was not as punishing on the quality of the model, there were minor problems with the layer adhesion, especially for the most important first layers. I further offsetted the Z-axis to 4.20, which is now my normal. This led to another problem. Now my printed were sticking deep inside the build plate, even though the leveling was done properly. I fixed this issue by removing all the screws, removing the build plate, and switching the screws for all the sides. I wasn't sure it was going to work, but fortunately it did after a few trials and errors. Number 5. Using supports and removal. I am sure most 3D printing enthusiasts like me dread removing supports, or some might actually find the experience meditative. Here's something I make sure to do whenever I print my models with a support. I make sure that the support infill is as low as possible. Most of the time I add a tree support with 0% infill and it works wonders for me. Best thing about that is, even if you are printing on PETG, due to the supports being hollow, they are much easier to remove without damaging the model. However, it also demands a good bed level accuracy and printing speed understanding to have a successful print with that technique. Lastly, I would love to end this by saying that most of the above suggestions are subjective to a particular situation, and all these things are lessons from my personal experience. I hardly have any credible experience to advise on the depths of it all. However, each printing day is a new learning experience, and I would love if you could also chip in further tips for me or the other viewers in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you found this topic helpful and worth your time. We look forward to bringing in more commentaries and videos like this and others on our channel.